Hello and welcome to Agents of Clix, a bi-weekly show on everything Heroclix. My name's Sean and I'm joined as usual by Christopher Dunn. Hi Chris.
Hello.
And Dale D. Andrade. Alright Dale?
Hello. I'm good, thank you. You?
I'm alright, yeah. Have you been getting up to much Heroclix recently or?
I managed to squeeze it again. Me and Chris met up to try to test out some competitive lists, still trying to figure out what's going to change with the new rule changes and how we can use that with the new figures. And that was alright.
Yeah, how did that go? It was alright?
I think Chris has broke something.
I haven't broke anything.
Just my love of dinosaurs.
Yeah. I've been trying out abusing the new leadership rules to try and, with Gertrude and Oatlace, try and play in swarm teams with like that. That leadership is going to be really, really good. The extra action guaranteed. So yeah, can do a hell of a lot.
Cool.
I mean, just go on.
No, I'm just saying I've been playing a few games and recording them for the channel and come to the conclusion that I'm not very good at this game. every time I record every time I record a match for the channel, Matthew always beats us, and it's just like whenever the camera's not on, I can beat him, but whenever the camera's on, I just get beat.
Can't do it.
No, can't do it. So yeah, I've come to that conclusion.
You're gonna have to get some easier opponents.
I did feel pretty bad the other day because we played a casual game at the local venue. I think it was we went down on Wednesday. We said we're just going to play a casual game, and I played Zeus and Goblin King, which kind of wasn't very casual. He wasn't impressed, but yeah, I won that one.
Surprise!
You're just going to trick him into playing casually.
Yeah. So sorry, Chris, what were you saying?
I don't think I was saying anything, was I?
No, I thought you were about to say something before I interrupted you.
No.
I was going to talk about how Gertrude is just so good.
Yeah.
I think it is my... if you ignore all the nonsense about Goblin King, he's definitely my favourite character out of the What If set.
It's just 50 points to put in a dinosaur that doesn't die. The stats are fine. That doesn't count. Effectively, doesn't count towards your action total. That has power, and you just have this person sat at the back who has free movements with Avengers team ability, who can eventually pull out an outwit, and up until then has leadership. So if you're playing, Runaways or Young Avengers, you can take a really good advantage of it. It's insane. And
can take tokens off like any of your other animal guys, or off herself as well.
Yeah,
it's just mad.
And if you have somebody else, I don't know, there's probably not anybody else with the her key, what is it, the Young Avengers or the Runaways keyword, then she can take them off them even if they're not adjacent.
Yeah, she's really good.
And then, because she gets like free movements and can leadership off herself, and then just, oh, sweet, I'm in position now, I'm cleared, I'm just going to kick out a 50-point call in to be useful. She just does so much.
That dinosaur is ridiculous, man. I mean, you having to potentially hit it 6 times to kill it is just ridiculous.
Yeah, and you have any way of healing or something like that, which I don't think you need to, because games are mostly gone. If somebody focus fires on your old lace, it's a 0-point pog. And as long as you've got some of the figures to take advantage of that, you don't care if like they're whittled down.
That's the thing. You don't want to attack it because it's a 0-point pog, but you can't afford to ignore it either because it's like it's dangerous.
Brutal.
Yeah.
If you have some way of like tying it up, because it doesn't really want to push. But yes, it is quite nasty.
Yeah.
And obviously it is got a lovely animal keyword, which goes well with a lot of other pog producers.
Yes, that it does. Well, we've got some stuff to cover today in news. So Dale, do you want to fire off with what's been happening in the world of Heroclix?
Yeah, so since we've last recorded, it was a while back, but since we last recorded, US Nationals and Worlds happened. I'm not going to talk too much about US Nationals because it's just a warm-up for Worlds, because it's the same thing, because they never put Worlds anywhere but America. Only shout out for Nationals is that it's finally been Jakeem winning something. kind of gets cute. Worlds, the final was Jakeem, who lost with Faust and I can't remember.
Green Arrow.
Tank, what was the
Green Arrow.
Green Arrow, yeah.
No, Green
Oh,
Arrow.
Bizarre
Green
Green Arrow.
Lantern. Sorry.
Yeah, the 35 points.
yeah, Green Lantern
Too
with the
many
wall one,
green
yeah.
things.
Yeah, so that, and then the other side was Goblin King with Haha Joker, Mercury, a symbiote, and there's one of the one who
Ironheart.
doesn't die. Ironheart, there we go.
So I love that Ironheart.
I do. I did say I thought it was the chase. It was most likely to get played because it was just cheap and just annoying to kill. I didn't think of it being paired up with Haha Joker though, to be like two outwits that can move stupidly far and never die. Basically, or a waste of time attacking. It's mental. But yeah, I told you to put my foot in my mouth and say that Goblin King would make top. I think it's a top 4 or top 8. That went and won. I will hands up and admit that was because I didn't think the pick of powers is enough defense, and in my head I just forgot symbiote existed. So I was thinking you're never going to put an entity on it because it's too expensive, and you put unlikely to want to put on the Supreme Intelligence because it doesn't give all that much defensively. That was my mistake.
Yeah, but I mean, a team that didn't have a resource on as well. I mean, that's never been heard of for quite a while.
I don't think that's
but
like
resources
too much
suck now,
credit
so.
for him. Yeah, it just resources suck. So he came to the logical conclusion that the symbiote is better than the Supreme Intelligence for
And he's right.
Goblin King.
He is,
because it
he's
just
right.
gives you better. It gives you better powers than the Supreme Intelligence can give you, and it's like
special
4
object
points
out there.
cheaper. Yeah, definitely. If only people
So-
were playing Mr. Nobody to place their
Yeah,
objects.
I don't think anyone will ever play that.
No, I think that
Maybe now they will.
Aaron Cantu did play it at a Rock, I think. It's mainly for Overdrive teams, because it just basically says, Overdrive, you have got no objects near you. Oh, what a shame. But yes, if everybody suddenly plays loads of objects, let's see, if you have loads of objects coming out in Thor, and everybody plays them instead of your resource. Yeah, it's not he's still there. I mean, you could look
How many
at
points is he?
55.
You could always better
Suited.
him.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well. If because like another team that sort of came out in Nationals, I think that did very well, was like Overdrive and the Captain America Chase, Samantha Wilson.
Yeah.
Just another Alpha Strike team, but this was even faster than like Dr. Octopus, because most teams need like 2 turns to get across the board with Overdrive because you can't quite get there fast enough. But because she gives a +3 speed, you don't modify the speed because Overdrive's a vehicle, and she's got charge at the end of it. Then that's just, from one starting area to the other starting area, and dropping a tank on your head with like a 13 attack or something stupid like that.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite nasty. So if you see a lot of like Overdrive teams, then or people using a lot of objects, I think Mr. Nobody might have a place. I don't know, just for a cheeky sort of mess people up.
I don't know. I think we've talked about this before, that theme is really strong, and I think it's got like no keywords or
Like a
like
politician.
Brotherhood of Evil, or politician as well. Is there a good politician? Green and Lantern,
Peace.
KC's politician.
Peace Machine, Nighthawk Prime,
Okay.
Commissioner
Right.
Gordon. So
There might be
Elseworlds,
something.
Superman, but he's a bit too expensive. Yeah. Anyway,
Right, so
off the
there might be
beaten track,
something.
but going off on.
Yeah. So yeah, just congratulations to him. I mean, he's done probably more for the game than any one man who doesn't actually work for Wizkids. So
Because that was Howard
Yeah.
Brock who does the managers of Rock.
ROC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, he obviously does an absolute boatload, and has invested a lot into the game himself. So it's nice to see him kind of win, and actually kind of show that not only does he kind of passionately care and put the effort into the game, he's a good player at that.
Yeah.
So he's not just. So there you go.
And
I'll leave it as that.
He went on to win Team Worlds as well.
He did go on to win Team Worlds.
Yeah.
But I didn't realise Team Worlds was a thing. I didn't realise it was sealed either.
But what? Yeah,
And apparently his sealed teams were unreal.
they pulled 4 super rares in a chase out of 6 boosters.
That team seems like a lot of fun. It's just a shame we don't have that in the UK. That would be really nice to do. Like the second day of if we had nationals again.
Even if it was just 2 people.
Yeah, you could do 2. But then I think it's because you have to play and then another team, and then it's like best out of 3 because you've got 3. If you only had 2, you'd have to go with 2 and then points for the tiebreak or something. That's not quite as good. But yeah, I suppose because there's not the tournaments don't get as many people turning up. Then if you've got to divide everything by 3, it's harder than divided by 2. Maybe 2 people sat there without a team.
Yeah, but you could. I suppose you could do that, and I can invite people to come over and have fillers as extra people as well. Somebody who hasn't got a team just goes, how about you come over? You could shut them together. I'm sure they could work out something.
Yeah, it just sounds like a good format when you. Yeah,
sounds fun.
Having 6 boosters and making teams.
Yeah,
multiple teams. Do we want to go into some other, or just the teams that everybody was playing at Worlds? I know we haven't actually got the lists, but it's generally it's fairly straightforward that everybody was either playing Jakeem or Goblin King, and you mixed in some Faust and some.
And
I think
tank.
every single person that I saw had a tank. I didn't see any teams without a tank on it.
No, me neither.
I think the last I kind of dropped off for a bit, so I can't be sure of this. But the last time I remember every single thing at Worlds playing it was the Infinity Gauntlet when that first came out, when it wasn't even defined as a resource. It was just here's a thing. It was like the first time where every single player in the top 32 was playing a version of it. And I was like, and then it obviously instantly got outdone by the next thing that came along. So they'll probably either change it or bring in something even more disgusting.
I don't think you can get more disgusting than a tank because it's so cheap. They're going to do a tank that's like 2 points or something, or free, and you can include it on any team.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with it.
Yeah, so it did. I think I don't know if Goblin King turning up, What If had a big impact on the. Apart from people who were playing some Goblin King, would it just been all Jakeem teams instead? Probably. Instead of just a few Goblin Kings ones mixed in.
I'm glad Faust wasn't on the winning team.
Yeah, but
Very much so.
He was on a lot of other teams. I think it was just Goblin Kings maybe that a little bit more expensive, so you don't want to put Faust in. Do you see any other teams that were interesting?
Yeah, my favourite one, the Deadpool Peace Machine team. That was like the nuts. I absolutely loved that. It's just 2 shifting focus Deadpools, both starting with the rare white suited to free phasing one for soldier keyword, 2 atoms and a piece of machine. Is that it? They both have the
equipped,
little tank. Yeah, they have a little tank. Both of them are equipped, and the one that's equipped with Brainiac also has supreme intelligence. I love that team. I played it, and you could just get from one side of the map to half. You can attack basically almost the starting area if you get lucky with the free phase rolls and TKs, and drop a tank on someone's head.
Yeah, it is pretty brutal. I mean, that's it loses a little bit with the new rulings, I think, around ID cards. But it didn't play any ID cards.
It didn't play any.
No.
I think when I tested it.
Really.
See, when I played it against you, I felt like I didn't need them. I felt like there was never a point where they were useful. I mean, it was like the Deadpools were so kind of integral to doing their own thing because they can pick to do so much stuff.
Hmm.
There was never a point where calling was worth it.
I suppose he's got the limiting factor of Peace Machine on his team as well. So the call-ins you're going to do are generally either bumping your stats up or doing like big attacks. So if all your attacks are going to be like maximum 3 damage anyway,
Yeah,
you would be just putting in little supporty things rather than like say the normal. Oh, I'll have Cosmic Spider-Man because they're 75 points. I'll have, I don't know, somebody else. Then you're limiting their damage that they're going to do, so you might as well just stick with your Deadpool's attacking rather than giving away 5 points and are not really doing much different than what you're doing. Suppose, I don't know.
Yeah, it was hard to justify to do anything but really.
But the Shift and Focus Deadpool, I've never played it, but both of you have played it against me, and I do struggle to kill it. So there is something there. I think it is a very good piece. You don't see many people playing it, but it is still only 75 points. It's quite cheap for all the things it can do.
It's yeah, but I mean, once you get to 100 points, it's just really hard to kill, and it always has something it can do. Like you're thinking that you can free move, teleporting through walls. You could heal up for free in like 5 different ways with that stupid thing, using like the X-Maintain ability between the 2 of them, or just pushing yourself.
And a prob on different keywords.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're just like the combination of that and the kind of the powers that you can pick kind of just give you a really steady kind of baseline, as well as a million tricks you can just pick, 1 or 2 of them per go, and then Peace Machine's just cute just because they can't deal that much damage. It's just there to go, well, you could basically have to at least do 3 attacks from the top to the bottom to kill each Deadpool, and that's just not likely to happen. Or I'm going to survive, be able to change run away, change the Healy one, heal myself up a bit, and then get back in the fight while the other one's pestering you. It's so good.
Yeah. It is very good.
Any other team anyone spotted that was just stand out and awesome, or?
I think just, I've mentioned it, just the Overdrive Samantha Wilson team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he should have won the Nationals. I don't know how he did in Worlds. I don't think he did that well. But he very nearly won Nationals. PJ Boland playing that. It was Overdrive, Samantha Wilson, Goblin King at 75, Faust at 80, and I think he just played the Atom as well at 15. And did he play a Teleporter? Can't remember now.
I can't remember.
I didn't see it.
So obviously he was like, his main was the Alpha Strike with Samantha Wilson, but obviously he was trying to then cross his fingers, see what he rolled for Faust. And obviously he could pick Perplex and Prob with Goblin King, and he's got a 2 Perplexes from Faust and from Samantha Wilson to hit with Tank. So she's hitting. She's got an Empower off Overdrive as well. She's hitting pretty hard. If you can charge and pick up a heavy, or even if she doesn't, then it's just hitting with a high attack, dropping the Tank, and then you've got Faust, Goblin King, and Samantha to follow up turn 2. So I think it was beating a lot of people, surprising a lot of people as well. I think he was talking on another podcast I was listening to. He was basically saying just people just didn't think, however many times he played it, they just didn't realise how far he could travel in one turn, because people hadn't really seen, because
2 of them.
Yeah,
they haven't really seen it. They'd think, oh, it's Overdrive. They've seen it Overdrive Doc Ock team, and they think, oh, there's 2 turns to get to me, so I don't need to worry about it this turn. I can just, faff about, organise myself. Well, actually, you've got that +3 movement on Overdrive, so that's 14, and he's got a sidestep as well. So if he generally starts off in row 3, that's getting to row 19, drop her in row 20, and then you've got a charge, so you can end up on the back row. So
So rough.
If you've got to really know, you've got to, and trying to avoid getting the tank on you, so you've got to really look at the weaknesses of overdrive. I think is just that it can't ignore elevated or even ignore characters as well. So if you can try and block them off.
See, if I was playing that, I'd feel like I wouldn't want to play Faust, and I'd really want to put in Mr. Big Spitlick instead.
I think you want to put in Peggy myself if you want to play Faust.
Oh,
Because
maybe.
he's trying to turn off defense powers, so you don't have that invincible. So you go, oh, you don't have the invincible, so I'll smack you for 3 with Samantha, and then a tank on your head. That'll be 5.
Definitely in the new rules, you want to do that. Like,
Yeah, if Faust-
100%.
If Faust, I mean, she's pretty cheap, so you can fit in somebody else as well. But obviously, you've got with Faust, it could just be, well, you're not doing anything next turn. So yes, if you're trying to win Worlds, I mean, he had that one turn where he thinks, I can get this attack in, and then you're not doing anything, and then I'm going to follow up with you again for a next turn with all my other guys.
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
Yeah,
I don't think I'd seen anything else. What about you, Sean?
no, I mean, I did like PJ Boland's team. I saw a match. I don't know if it was on Facebook or on YouTube, where he was playing that, and it looked quite an effective team. I mean, it was an effective team. I think did he get to the semi-finals? The finals, I mean?
Finals at Nationals.
Yeah.
So he played that Dustin Cedar, who won with the Jakeem Faust team. But he had quite an easy hit where he needed like a 5 or something to hit with Samantha, and then that would have won him the game. So yeah, it was pretty brutal even against, like, you think about
that
how
Samantha
tough
Wilson's so
Jakeem is
good.
to take down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is 70 points as well for what you can do. It's an awful lot.
So yeah, that was. I mean, to be honest, I didn't get to see many of the national games. I got kind of a bit, every match seemed to be like, oh, it's another Faust, and I got a bit bored by it and sort of zoned out a bit. But yeah,
I mean, the actual teams, the vast majority of teams were bland and uninteresting and just all the same things, but those are all the best things. So it's difficult to criticise the players for playing the best things, but it is nice to see that some other teams were still there, even if they got a bit outclassed in the end. But.
Yeah.
The only thing I'd like to see, the stream was just fine. I liked the fact that the commentators would talk about things as well, and they even had little snaps of they got previews for the undeads, the monster set. That was cute. I really wish they had a box to roll dice, dice cam, so you can actually see, and I don't know, somebody overhearing, so they can mic up the players. We don't have to hear them, but the commentators can, so they can explain what's going on. And rather than, I felt like too much of it is guesswork, and it really, and I don't want to hear exactly what they're saying. I don't need to have the players explain what they're doing and just having a random chat. But I feel if you have people shoutcasting it and commentating on what's happening, they really need to know exactly what's happening. When you've got a million people with the PAP traits, and you've got entities and resources coming out your backside, you need to understand what's going on.
Yeah, I agree.
To be able to explain to us.
Yeah,
definitely.
I mean, they kept saying in the stream that, we can't, do people really want this and stuff? And everybody's saying, yes, we really want it. And they were even talking to, I think, Patrick Iboko, and saying, do the players really like the cam? They might like the mic, they might get nervous and stuff. And he goes, no, so just ignore it. I know when he does his stuff, everybody's mic'd up. I can't remember now if the Rock, when they streamed their championships, if they had mics on or not. Maybe they didn't.
I don't think they did. They had an announce booth kind of away from all the other players, didn't they? So.
It just doesn't work. I mean, the announcers don't. A lot of them are maybe not top players, should I say, as well. So they're not picking up, they're missing things because the movies don't realise what the figure can do or what that figure's there for. So not only that, they're then guessing what the powers are picking or what they're doing. So because of that, they go chatting off on something else, ignoring what the match is happening, and they go, "Oh, the match is over. Oh, didn't realise."
I would have quite liked to have seen some of the Team Worlds matches being streamed.
Yeah, they streamed like Dice Masters instead.
Yeah.
I think it would be hard to do because you talk about it. You could be watching one person playing and they could win, and then have to be told that the team lost.
Yeah.
It's like it would be a bit of a strange thing. Any games you can watch at that caliber, people are going to come and watch. There's always going to be like a small group of people who are going to chat about what's happening at Worlds, regardless of whether it's team by itself, sealed or whatever. Someone's going to have an interest in that kind of point. But I just think the setup just needs jigging slightly so that we can follow it a little bit better. I mean, and just why they keep doing it in America just kills me, because their internet is just shocking. I get
they're
better
doing it in America
on my phone.
because more people turn up.
American game, it's hard to compete with that. But wherever they do it next time, just go to somewhere with some bandwidth. I mean, I get faster 4G than they got. I couldn't believe how like much they were struggling to stream things.
Yeah, I think that was another reason I got turned off by it, actually, because it was all choppy and it kept disconnecting, and I was like, I got tired of it after a while.
Yeah, but I think the video that you can go back and watch them.
Yeah.
On Twitch, I saw them for a while.
I mean, certainly, I think that certainly happened on the first day of the stream, but then it seemed to get better. Get better after that. So whatever issues they were having did seem to improve slightly.
I mean, it is a shame that there isn't more. If you compare it to something like X-Wing, for example, every weekend I could watch some X-Wing games being streamed. So when you have like the Worlds, Heroclix, you would hope that the quality is slightly better, but yeah.
I mean, there's a regional. There was a regional last weekend at my local store, and one of my best mates was brought in to literally shoutcast at X-Wing, and just that was being streamed, the top tables, and he was just shoutcasting it all the way through from like 11 hours or something daft of 5-6 rounds, then cut. And I mean, it's just a regional, but because it's just there to do it. I mean, he was commenting on what's happening, could follow it all, has all the teams there. It's just a really nice setup for it. But Heroclix just doesn't seem to have the same kind of organisation behind it that like FFG has with it all.
No, I don't think it's FFG. A lot of it is just fan based stuff that people do. I think there's just not enough people interested enough to do it, so it doesn't get done really. But anyway, that's by the by.
Yeah.
So next on the list, we'll talk about. There's a set coming out, Elseworlds. 95% of it's now been spoilt. If you want to have a proper look on HC Realms, I think they are literally missing one rare dial, which we know it's the Green Oracle because it was given away earlier, and one super rare.
There's one super rare. I think is a Green Lantern. The green is the
Tangent Worlds.
Yeah,
it's the girl with the stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's just the two chasers, and one of them were pretty much could better left arm that it's the Dark Knight Returns Batman.
There's been a sculpt. There is an image of him actually in the.
Oh, there is
on the box art as well.
No, they did like a PowerPoint thing at one of their shows or something like that, and there was a Dark Knight Returns Batman as an image. So it's either it's a toss up between Robin or Joker, I think, as a last chase, really.
Yeah, I think we spoke about this before. I really want it to be the Robin, but I think you make a valid point that we've seen Robin in the set twice already as a Pog, so she's probably going to get shafted and just be another Pog. There's already what the next DC set is, Harlequin and the Gotham Girls, so I assume they'll get around to just dropping her in that if she doesn't turn up in this, but that would just be awful.
I just went back and reread like the Dark Knight Returns, and it would be nice to have some of the other, like say the Sons of Batman as generics would be nice.
Yeah,
things like that.
Yeah,
there's some nice little generic and things in that. And then things.
We've just had it drop that today, as of recording, that the Green Arrow has dropped in. I've already complained about this before it even came out because I didn't want it to be Green Arrow. And Chris, you went back and flicked through, haven't you? And what is he? Is he in 13 panels?
About a dozen panels towards the end of the book and stuff.
He is basically there to do one thing, and that's be a communist and throw abuse at Batman, and then fire one arrow so that Batman can win this fight. That's literally it. It's just.
But am I right in thinking, Dale, that you didn't want him to be the Chase because you didn't want him to be a Chase? You wanted him in the set. You just didn't want him to be a Chase.
Oh no! I don't. I think this is a wasted opportunity. I don't think the Dark Knights should have been Chases. If you're doing Elseworlds, it's the biggest Elseworld story as far as I'm concerned. I mean, it's sold and had more of an impact as far as I'm aware than anything else has, bar maybe Kingdom Come. So the fact that you put it in a set with fewer chases than, if it was an 8 chase set, I'd be disappointed, but I'd be, you can fit 8 of the characters in there and then just slot in, your common of son of mutants, or that would be fine. I'd be happy with that, but I feel like you can't boil it down to 4 characters.
Yeah, compared to some of the other ones, like say Justice Rider. How many Justice Rider like sort of related characters are there in the set, or the Nail and things like that? Where Dark Knight Returns is more iconic.
Yeah,
so you could have fitted a few more. I agree with you on that. Yeah. I don't mind them being the chases, but I think they could have sneaked in a couple more.
Yeah, just the fact there's only 4 of them.
For me, this is like it's just silly. It's like there was no need for them to have been chases in this kind of form, and it's the same issue I have with like the Red Sun thing. I mean, Red Sun chases, they're great. There's 8 of them. It's nice. It's a lot. But do I really need the Bizarro? There's 8. Sorry, there's 6 of them. But if I was picking 6, Bizarro would not be in that list at all. They would just be missing Lex. Yeah, like the whole
Lex
story
is
the hero
of the story.
Yeah, he's like the whole story is coming from either Superman's point of view or Lex Luthor's, and in the way it ends, I don't want to spoil it. I mean, it's the greatest ending to any comic book I've ever read ever.
I was about to say that I'm not a DC fan at all, but that is the single greatest ending to any comic book I've ever read.
And yeah, yes, you'd probably spoil it by making that figure, but how good would that be to have as a figure?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, but that's
I can't remember how it ended now. I've got to go back and reread it.
I can spoil it if you want.
Right, I'll go back and read it.
Yeah, definitely worth the read.
I read it I read it because I hadn't read it, but when the set came out with the Red Sun Chasers, I went and read it. But now I can't remember now how it finished. Anyway, yeah.
It's very good. Unbelievably poetic. But yeah, that's my thing. The only thing I want is another Elseworld set. Like, don't give me this and not just bring out another one in like 3 years with
another one in 5
or like
years.
Next year with more of them. I want to finish my Wild West versions of them. And,
I want every single one of the Justice Riders.
So good. I wish these were the Fast Forces. I wish they'd just stop doing Fast Forces as a like cheapish reuse of the sculpts they've already got, and just give us, here is a team from some stupid storyline or a team that we're never going to get around to doing an actual set.
Yeah.
There you go. I mean, just it'd be so good. Even if you do put them in the set, put half of them in the set or whatever. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. Elseworlds is nice. It's better than What If from a standard point of view. We get a new shifting focus Batman and Superman.
Yeah.
They're really good. Get some ridiculously good call-ins for like just stupid cheap. I'm trying to think of what.
Well, it seems like the uncommon Superman, the 70-point Superman and Wonder Woman are both good. You've got the Flash who can take a hit, who can turn a hit into a miss. Who's really good. You've got some of the Green Lanterns. Not sure if you can call them in, but Green Oracle, you don't know what she's going to be. I can call her the Batgirl. You'll have the Green Arrow, who looks like a really good call in Chase. Batman probably will end up being a really good. Yeah, so because there's a less. I think DC has like less sort of obscure.
Marker and cards.
Yeah, in here. But also the characters that they're producing in this set are like half of them could be called in with an ID card because they're all. Batman or Green Lantern or Wonder Woman or Superman.
Yeah, that's because they've tried to do like a kind of throwback to the old Rev sets. So what number 1 to 5 of the commons, uncommons, rares, and super rares. I think the super rares mix the order up a little bit, but they're all Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash, and then the same from a different universe, and then the same from a different universe. Yeah, it's
more KC figures as well.
Like there's a couple, we get the
Ray,
Casey Aquaman,
Casey
Ray. Again, probably not. If I was said, here is to pick 2 Kingdom Come characters to make that were missing from the chases, they are just so low down on the list of things. I mean, like, where's Captain Atom? Like, he's the inciting thing of it. Where's Magog? I mean, come on.
There's no Magog.
Like, anyway.
Technically, you've already had a Casey Magog. He's very old.
He's very old.
We've had
Superman set. Is that Oreo based?
Yeah, we've had a few of them.
A couple. Yeah, there's one before that as well.
But not this new. I suppose he wouldn't have that trait, would he? That trait's meant to be them hiding off and retiring, and he doesn't, does he? He's
one of the more modern ones.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to see some of the modern. But yeah, you could do a whole Kingdom Come set, really.
You really could, and people would go mental for it.
Yeah.
Absolutely mental for it. But there you go. We'll do probably a bigger talk on it next week when the last bit's cut out and we see them all.
But I'm more interested in it than in what if had some very good and competitive and very playable super rares. But I did feel that the common and rares were very lacking. Now this set, I think there's probably less really competitive pieces, but actually throughout all the rarities there's some interesting pieces that I can see myself playing.
I don't have as down a thought of it as you. I liked What If a lot, but I can definitely understand that if you're going to have a piece in a set 5 times, you better sure as shit better make it Batman and Superman, not freaking Punisher and Daredevil.
I have not really that much interest. So unless the dial's really good, I don't mind them having 3 versions of the same character in, but I want the dials to be different, and I want them all to be doing something interesting or at least worthwhile for playing. I don't really want to play
the whole
Daredevil who does nothing than another figure could do.
Yeah, the whole point of the set was it was a what if,
X, Y did this.
Yeah, and it's just what if I gave you another Spider-Man that did pretty much the same as the other Spider-Man you've got.
Yeah, I think that's the killer for it, is the fact that you've got like 5 Spider-Man in there, and if you took away the names and powers and traits, you probably couldn't tell me what storylines they were from, or they don't feel different. Whereas you look at Superman,
different. I think these ones feel different. I think you look
the
at
DC ones do. I think.
Yeah. You look at the Batman, the Superman, the Wonder Woman, and they're all doing something different.
Well, yeah, just going from the Superman, you've got the shifting focus one, who's like a leap, quake, leadership one, and then this uncommon one is a kind of a bog standard Superman.
Yeah, but he's brutal for 70 points. You just look at that and you go, oh, yeah.
Yeah, with an interesting trait where he can hurt himself if he kills somebody, but he can choose to do less damage to this maximum.
So he thinks, I don't want to kill this person, I want to do that. And
you've then got
the Zod Superman, who then kills people and uses them as a standard heavy object.
I mean, yeah, and then you got, and even then you got other ones like Dale Suderman.
Oh yes, classic. Yeah,
it's like just properly weird stuff, and I'm okay with that. There wasn't enough variety amongst what they made. Like the Punishers don't change, other than the fact one of them shoots Marvel Knights. That was basically that was it. But let's move on from Elseworlds. We'll talk about it more next
so
time.
I don't mind. I actually don't mind having a lot of the same character, even sculpt reuse. I don't mind that much. I can forgive that if the dials are different and interesting, because I'm generally more of a mechanics person than a say what the figure looks like. Obviously, it's nice to have nice looking figures and things, and I often would rather play figures that look nice. But I would still forgive them if the mechanics were interesting and different. But what if they didn't really do that?
But how about we just put in like Thor 3 times with an identical sculpt every single time, and his dial just being like, I punch people, I shoot people, or I shoot people really well. It's basically
but none of them are like that sort of. Yeah, I don't know. They're not that interesting because they've made them all about the same points value as well. So it's not like you can go, I've got a 70-point Thor, because you've got 70-point Superman. Yeah?
Yeah.
So you can do that with Superman. Why can't you do that with Thor? Why does Thor always have to be like 100 points or 110 points or something? If you put Thor at like, I've got 70-point Thor, because you can't say that like he's more powerful than Superman. So
he's literally 100. He's literally 100 points, 105 points, and 110.
Yeah.
That's
so
just
why are they
stupid.
doing that? I mean, it just seems weird why they would do that with him. Or Punisher always has to be 50 points. And they couldn't, with Superman can be anything from 70 to 230.
And let's not forget the fact that there's a starter set Thor. It's also 100 points or 50 points using an identical
It just
sculpt.
seems like weird why they would do that. Why they can't just like swap it around and have different power levels.
There you go.
Anyway, that's general thoughts on the Elseworlds set. But we'll go into, as you say, more detail next time probably.
Next episode, yeah.
So I forgot to mention this beforehand, because as of Worlds and because of the feedback for it, they are now trying to change the tournament format. The post scoring specifically, trying to encourage more aggressive plays, less don't die teams, or more or less turtling teams where you just kill someone and win because your team now becomes unkillable. They are doing a testing of it at Sean will say because I forgot. No, he won't.
I won't, because I have also forgot.
Gen Con.
Is it Gen Con?
It's
Gen Con. They're running
single
like
brackets.
Wizkids Opens at Gen Con. They're running 3 Wizkids Opens, I do believe.
That's right. Yes.
And
So
I
they're
believe
using
one
that.
of them is this.
That's on
Well,
the
they might do it
17th of
for all of them,
August.
don't
Yeah.
They specified a single bracket.
Yeah.
But it boils down to you get now your match points. These are your kind of tie-breaking ones, and decision on who wins the game. They are based on how much you've killed plus half of what's survived on your team. They've not been specific. It doesn't yet to make a reference to what if I round table somebody in and they stay alive? Do they count as survived?
The only thing they have said is the KO points is maxed out at 300. So if you're calling in,
or you can't get more than
ID characters, if you're calling in ID characters and they get KO'd, and you end up losing 400 points, then you're only scoring 300. Yeah.
Well, they should max out the surviving points as well then.
I agree. Yeah.
Then there's easy ways, like I could like have play the zombie team base or something and go, I have 600 surviving points.
Yeah.
And then from there, You finish your match, and your match points then convert into tournament points. The top third of match points earn you 3 tournament points, 2 for the middle of the third, 1 if you are the bottom third. So this could mean that you get 3 points even though you lose. If you lose in a really good game where you take out almost everything and your opponents, other people, competitors don't quite do so well, and you get +1 if you actually won your specific match. So the maximum points is 3. If you win with a stomp, you get in the top third, you get 3. If you lose by getting stomped, you get 1. If you kind of go in the middle, where you say do what the current meta tends to go towards, where you win by like 80 points because you killed one thing, became unkillable, you'll probably get 2 or 3 points because you get like 1 or 2 and your winning point. I like the idea of the tournament points. I don't like the idea of putting tournament points in it at the same time of adding survival points, because what's the point in making something to drive aggression in the game and then reward people for surviving? That takes away from the... I don't know, they're only testing it, they're only trialling it, but that's my take on it. I would have tried, if you're going to just test it, why don't you test the extreme version of it first, and then if it turns out that is too bad, then try and reel it in. But that's my take on it. Anyone else? Sean?
No, I agree. I mean, what they're doing is obviously they're trying to dissuade from turtling and people who are just taking out 0-point figures, but yet they're kind of still bringing out figures that encourage that type of play as well. And all it's going to take is for somebody to rock up to this event with a team that totally abuses the scoring, because they've made no secret about how they're going to score and what the changes that they're proposing. So somebody will build a team that can take advantage of that, and it kind of it's having the reverse effect, I think, because currently the way we score currently, if I score 30 points and win a game with only scoring 30 points, I have 30 points. I'm a low scoring win, but in the new scoring, I'm going to have 180 points compared to the 30 that I would have previously. I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me.
I think as well, it's like, it seems to be you can get a lot more points for your match points and actually for winning the match. And I think the winning the match bit should always be what you get most of your points for. I don't know, I think we were having a chat with this before we started recording. But if you look at, like, say, some sports, or looking at, you get your points for win, but you also get to say a bonus point for doing something else. Like, say, I think it's rugby. I'm not very good with sports, but you get like a bonus point for how many tries you scored, or in cricket, how many scored, but whatever. You get your win, and then you get a bonus if you've, say, done aggressively or you've scored so much. And I think that would probably work out better, because you never want to take away from the fact that you've won. And I don't think Wizkids should be forcing people to play the game in a certain way. If you want to, like, score points and then run away and hide for the rest of the game, I think, that's your strategy. I don't think you can't say, well, that's unsportsmanlike, and it's like not the way that the game should be played, because that's just, the way you win the game by getting more points than your opponent. How you actually do it comes down, they shouldn't be forcing you to say you have to play aggressively, and you have to play like these aggressive teams where, if they want you to do that, as they say, they've got the design capability of how they design the figures.
I go on the opposite side of that. I don't mind them trying to push not so much a more... It's not that I want, everything to be, glass cannons and instantly die and everyone has to go in and go mental and kill each other. But I don't like things like the Don't Die team, Resurrection with Deathman and a Mystique or a Haha Jugger. Like that, for me, is just it's just like the antithesis of actually playing a game. You don't play that game, you just walk over and think, what's the easiest thing to kill it, and then you just sit there for half an hour while the person playing You Don't Die team spends 5 minutes deciding on where they're going to stand and walk, when it really makes no difference because they're trying to spend the time.
No system, however much you do it, is going to stop. If you've got figures that can do that, then you're probably going to say, well, I'm going to do that because it's those type of figures shouldn't. Yeah, but those type of figures shouldn't really be designed that way. Then.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
The only thing
you shouldn't get a figure that says you can never score points off me. Ha ha ha.
Yeah. The only thing I do agree with, or I do think is a little bit fairer, is how they're dealing with the 0 point buy. What is currently a buy in a round. You get your 0 point win, but they're saying that would be giving 3 tournament points, and therefore considered in the top third. Only because there's nothing worse. I've been there. There's nothing worse than getting a buy. Yes, it's a win, but it's a 0 point win, and that does have an effect on your positioning and whether you make that top 8 cut.
I don't mind the fact that they're trying to look at other systems. I don't think it's like a major priority that they should come up with something. I think there's other things that depending on how they're getting on with the rule, there's other things that they need to focus on. I'm just worried that they'll come up with something that's just as bad, or you can abuse it easier.
Yeah, it is.
I think they should be focusing on design of figures and stop designing broken stuff and put their efforts into playtesting and making sure that they're not encouraging a particular style of play by the figure design rather than how they do sort of tournament scoring.
I did laugh when you read the article, and it does explain why they're deciding to do this. And the example they give is, would a hero or villain group be happy knocking out a single henchman or sidekick and then letting the big names get away? Well, the villain group would quite easily.
I'll kill this bystander here, and then I'll leg it from the main heroes. I win.
Yeah. Has no one ever read Death in the Family?
Yeah. So yes, you could say that like villains can do that, but heroes can't.
Yeah. And then everyone would just be villains.
Although they can bring in some other score. I don't mind if they had some objective scoring, or they had some other way of scoring.
Yeah, that would be
than
good. Yeah.
Just victory points. I think that would
like
be making it a little bit more interesting. Yeah. However you do it.
I feel that you kind of worry about the whole that it should be more pointed towards winning. I think it does. I mean, you pretty much, if you win, you're pretty much guaranteed to get in the. Unless you literally have just picked off one thing and won by like that 10 points, you're pretty much guaranteed to be in the top half of them at least. Otherwise, you probably shouldn't have won, kind of thing. Just by the merit of winning, you're much more likely to have or be in the top.
Yeah.
Half at least. So you're not likely to only get 1 point if you win. You're more likely to be looking at getting 2. At the difference between 3 points or 4, just by the merit of it. I kind of agree in that maybe winning should be worth 2 points, to kind of weight it slightly more, but I don't think the points you get for killing something else should be bonus points, because then it's basically no different to how it is now, where it's like a tiebreaker thing.
Yeah.
But let's move on from that, because it's just...
Well, it's interesting they're doing it. I just think that...
It's a nice try.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. There's going to be like issues crop up, and if they continue to test it and then try new stuff out, and then before they come up with something, then yeah, they might come up with something that actually works.
Yeah, I'll move on to a little quick reference to the maps. They are bringing out kits now, apparently of tubed 10 maps that your store can buy that you can't specifically buy. There's no RRP for them, but the store can sell it at their own discretion. These are meant to be like just store away maps that are good for either tournaments where you want to have not just one map there, you can have your default map to put down and it doesn't disappear or anything, or doesn't have like a certain favour or feel to it, just here's a generic, I think it's a train station or a underground.
Yeah, it is like a train station, I think, and they stack, don't they?
And then like one's a warehouse and they're stacked, so you can if you want to do your storyline modes. I mean, I've played one years ago where we played X-Men or Brotherhood and had to get from like Days of Future Past style, had to get from one side to the other, where we were all escaped mutants with just loads and loads of giant sentinels walking around. That was good, but you can basically just stick the maps together if you want to have some massive story event or
they did something
crazy
similar in
arena.
one of the Batman sets as well, didn't they? Where it was like the Croc's lair, and then you could go down like little trapdoors and appear on like the other side of the map, so you could play two side by side.
Yeah, they've done it a couple of times, I think.
A lot of the maps, like say the chemical plant is designed to be joke as well. You could turn one side and stick with the one next to each other. There was one in the Slosh set, was it, for the Legion of Doom? You had like the outdoor one,
the swamp,
and then they had the indoor bit. So yeah, they've done that before. I think, where they're designed to like, be next to each other.
I can definitely remember them being like a shield one where it was like indoor and outdoor of the helicarrier. I think that was Chaos War came with it. But I mean, it's something they've done before, but not to the scale where it's like you can just keep slapping them on together. I don't know how many times you're going to need six or seven maps lined up in a row, but it's
probably never, because Heroclix doesn't work at that sort of.
They look to be. I'm just looking now. It's train station on one side and the train yard on the other.
There you go. But there you go. Some more maps. That I like the fact that they come in tubes. I just desperately hope that this becomes the new thing. So that when you get your set and the OP kit comes with them, they just tube them. When I first started, my judge had all of his maps taken somewhere to be like laminated, so we used to just play on like these big laminated maps, and they think they were great. I mean, we played the same maps for like every week. It's like 5 games in it a week for 5-6 years, and only put it away because they brought out the new types of maps where there was, outlined, coloured and everything, so you could keep track of it all. But I mean, I just hope that they kind of do that. It'd be nice to have these kept tidy and not have it like, I can't put my finger here because it bends upwards, or you can see holes and tears going in it because you've folded it and unfolded it so many times.
Well, I do like the premium maps. It'd be nice to see what quality.
I really like them.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried because of how many there are now that they're not going to last forever. I was hoping it was going to be a case of like they were just the default maps and were always there and never rotated out for like 10 years or however long they want to keep them. But I feel like you might get 4 years out of them, like the OP kit, not the OP kits, the con exclusives. But I think they probably will have to rotate them out, or at least rule something different, because the office just kills colossal based things and that's just rubbish. Anything else on the maps before we move on?
Oh, no.
So last bit of the news then, the Watchlist has returned. As far as I knew, nothing other than Faust was still on the Watchlist and legal. But Faust has popped back up on the Watchlist, still being the awful piece of garbage that he is. Joining him is Jakeem, surprise, Goblin King, again, not surprise, and the tank. All of
Definitely
these,
not a surprise.
yeah, all of these make complete sense. I would be glad for them to do something to all of them, because I feel like the game at the moment is stale in that every single team ran the tank. 90% of the teams ran at least one of the other 3 pieces, and again, but more than 50% were probably running at least 2 of them, which is just rubbish. Like,
yeah,
this
is more fallout
bad.
from Worlds, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, it's immediate fallout from Worlds.
Yeah.
Well, it's good that Wizkids, I mean, whenever Wizkids have done the watch list, that I've normally been happy with what they've. I think Faust is the only one
where they failed, clearly.
where they've failed. I think at the time when they did it, I think most people thought, because it's funny that like when they did the events after he got that nerf in, you didn't really see much of him. It's only like a little bit later when people realise that actually he's still just as broken.
yeah.
But yes, I think at the time you thought, oh, that makes him a lot easier to deal with. But I think now that everybody's realised that we can just have to carry him up, don't you? I think it took a while for everybody to realise that you can just carry him, and then it's all like broken. Hopefully that like. Go on. We're gonna talk about like what we think might happen.
I was just gonna break down what I hope for the changes to be honest.
Go on then. Let's have a go at that then.
So yeah, my fix for Felix is that you add the minimum range to his yellow power. You can still have it blast and blow up everyone for about, within 5 squares of a square, but he has to pick one within the 7 range, same as all his other weird can only do 1 type of action powers. And I would change the wording of every single one of those to be, instead of it, you can only be given a close combat attack, to you can't be given a close combat free power action.
Yeah.
Still restricts you. It still has the same taste of it, but isn't as just you cannot do anything as he currently stands. The Jakeem, I think the new rules are enough. I think tested under those things. I think the outwit is enough to just turn him into basically garbage, because he's too expensive. And if you have, I think
garbage is like a bit too strong, but it means he's manageable. You can manage him because you can put some outwit on your team, and suddenly he becomes, you can kill him reasonably easily. He's still good for his points, but he can't survive quite as easily.
So I don't think he's going to stand. I think he's probably too expensive in a world where you can get something like Haha Joker and the Iron Heart to just fly over and go, and now you're very vulnerable, and you get one shot by a big chunky dude who can do however much damage he needs to. Goblin King is probably the hardest to fix while still keeping his feel to it. My idea for it was that he can keep 2 powers, but he can only pick them one at a time. So he, one turn can pick a power, keep it. Second turn picks another power, keeps it. Third turn he picks a power, but then has to replace one of the 2 he's picked previously. He's still going to be strong, but really strong, but not in the same way. He has to now set up a little bit his aggression, so he can't just suddenly switch from something like sidestep and invincible like he does at the moment to something like running shot, pulse wave, or charge flurry, or hypersonic speed, super strength. I also think the drill changes are going to fix a lot of him as well. Not the outwit bit, that's just unfortunate, but the timing of it, things like not being able to use sidestep and then change your power to lose sidestep is enough. And the tank is pretty much impossible to fix. I think it needs to be something along the lines of, you have to hit everybody that the tank's going to be dropped on. They've got to change the timing of it, so your attack hits first, you do your attack and that's fine, or you don't do your attack, you only do a tank drop, that is your attack instead. And depending on which one of those they go for, either make it that you then have to hit everybody to be able to place the tank, and if you fail to do that, then you can, the tank just disappears, and you can, I don't know, do 2 damage to whoever you get hit, but you can't put the tank down, and it comes being KO'd or something to that effect, or it just doesn't do penetrating damage.
I like what you said around what you could do is say your attack deals no damage, and then the tank gets dropped.
And then the tank gets dropped. Like,
because that would
for
actually
me,
make it, and then it's not penetrating as well. Because often it's just a 2 penetrating to your whole team, and you're not that fussed about what the attack does. I think even then it still was 8 points. Whatever you do, it's going to be very hard to say it's not worth 8 points because it's only 8 points.
Yeah.
So even just slapping it down on the map and moving everybody around is sometimes just worth 8 points, even if it doesn't actually do any damage.
I think all they'll do with the tank is just say it's not penetrating damage.
And then it still makes it less...
still makes it less powerful, but still more than worth more than 8 points.
Yeah, I really think I think even like by doing that, it's because of the changes to Invincible, it was going to become worse anyway. So I don't think removing the penetrating thing is the big issue. I think it's the hitting a bunch of people for free without actually losing an attack, like, without cost. There's no cost to it. Minus one attack is like nothing. In your Alpha Strike, you're going to par everything into attack. You're going to have a million rerolls because you've got likelihood is you've got your theme team and you've got everything set up, so this hit is going to hit anyway. So
it's very rare. Whenever I've any games where you've seen it with a tank, I don't think anybody's ever missed it because they've just put all the. Well, I've never seen it very often. When I was watching Worlds and that, it was all just like, we'll have all our perplexes, all our probs, we'll set it up. You can't prob because you're too far away. I can.
Splat.
I'll pick on whoever's easiest to hit, if necessary, and then I'll just whack the tank down. So I've never seen anybody miss with it. So that -1 is not doing anything.
I've seen exactly one person miss with it ever. I think
I've missed with it several
one
times,
in a proper event.
Yeah.
Once.
Mainly because you're calling in somebody like Nick on the so you're going, well, I'll get that extra prob, and I've got a high attack. So I don't think the -1 does anything. I think that's not enough of a downside. So, but I don't know if they could just go, well, they'll have -3 or something like that. It's a bit like, I think they need to change the damage type, but I think they need to do something else as well.
I think removing the actual initial attack would go a long way to it as well. I think that would.
Yeah, I think they could do something like, say, it can't be carried, because then you would have to trigger it off your movement. So you would have to basically not be able to run in shot or charge. I
don't think that would hurt too much because you just make sure you have some weenie to walk over and.
Yeah, but it's still a lot more. You could do a few things together because I think one small change, like to make it not penetrating, isn't enough. So if to do a few little things and just like its trait, just say again it breaks theme. They could just easily say that it breaks theme unless you just reword that trait.
But you've also got to
breaks theme unless you have Ant-Man or Giant Man or whatever.
You've also got to remember as well, these are purchasable items, so they're still going to want to be selling them, aren't they? So they're not going to nerf it too badly.
I don't know. I think that I genuinely think they should.
Depends when they do it. If they do it after Gen Con, then they'll probably say, well, we don't have any conventions this season anyway. There's going to be something new next season. Yeah. So we've sold 99% of what we were going to sell anyway.
I think you're right about Shaquem, though. I don't think really he needs much of a nerf because of the new rules coming out.
I'll just give him a little bit of a nerf just to teach him a lesson.
Yeah, just because he's Shaquem. He is a prime as well, so he is taking up your prime slot as well. So Gobby will probably just be limit on what powers you can pick, much like Jakeem is in terms of
one per slot
defense something like that. I think personally for Faust, I think what they should say is they should put a trait on him that says at the beginning of the game your opponent's allowed to stand up and punch you in the face just for playing Faust, and that'll be fine.
I do think they'll just retire him. I don't think they're going to be bothered to. I think that's what they'll do. I think what they should do though is think, well, it's still Golden Age, so maybe we should put some effort in to make him playable. But I think because of all the wording and how much actual changes they'd have to make, they'll just go, and he's Golden Age. There you go.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
But did you see the ruling on the brown power on Faust?
Yes.
I found that quite interesting.
That
I don't know what the
can't
brown
be
power of Faust
replaced.
is.
Yeah, values can't be replaced. or modified.
Opponents' combat values can't be replaced or modified unless the replacement would half the value.
Okay.
So
sidestep
replaces. You can is a replacement. So if you have sidestep and you have say a 10 movement, you can sidestep 10 squares if your opponent Faust has rolled brown power.
That is just stupid beyond belief.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny, but it's stupid.
It is very stupid, yeah.
So yes, he needs to go because I can't
Yeah.
be bothered playing any more games against him whatsoever. I think, like yourselves, I think Jakeem will probably escape the nerf. Goblin King needs to have some restrictions on powers.
I'm just getting a one.
Doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. Well, it doesn't have to be very much. It doesn't have to be make it rubbish. But they need to just put a little bit of a restriction on in the same way they've done for Jakeem.
Yeah, I think that's what
maybe
they'll do.
they've made Jakeem a little bit. You have to think it doesn't help. It doesn't sort of nerf him too much. But because he's got that little bit of restriction, because he can be hurt by outwit, then he's fine. I'm happy if they don't change him. But I think Goblin King doesn't have a restriction, and you can't be hit with outwit, so they need to do something. It doesn't have to be major. I mean, my personal. I mean, they could do. I think I've seen a few suggestions. Like, say he doesn't have power cosmic unless you play him at 275.
Yeah.
That would be because no one really wants to play him at 275. I think because you want to play him with support.
I heard a suggestion, not being able to equip him a relic or resource or special
that was
object.
another thing. Yeah, because he's equipped with that makes thematic
Infinity
sense as
Gauntlets.
well. Because he's already got the Infinity Gauntlet, so that makes him. Yeah, so there's little things like that where you're not taking away from the figure too much. It's just that just bring them sort of in line with obviously the new rules coming out, bring them in line with what Jakeem does. Or you have to pick a little, like saying, you can't pick defense powers, or you can't pick two of the same. Well, it doesn't really hurt him that much. Two of the same, like you can't pick two like powers in the same slot or whatever.
Or his pick a power has to be done at the start of the turn and not.
I don't think that
reaction.
changes very much, really.
Well, I don't know.
It makes him a little bit less, but I don't think it makes him a lot. It's just what Jakeem does, but I don't think that's a major thing. I think it's more the fact that he's got powers. Everybody they're bringing in. Outwit is a saviour of everybody. Yay! And it's like, oh no, it's not.
And then Green Goblin comes out and puts on that Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah, and says, So I think they need to be more careful about who they make with power cosmic. That's really the lesson that Wizkids should learn from that.
If you're going to make Outwit the great equalizer, don't make somebody who's broke as all hell be immune to it.
Yeah.
Or it could be something like if he picks a certain combination of powers or certain powers, then he loses power cosmic for that turn. Or until the beginning of his next turn or something like that, or I don't know.
Or you could say that when he picks the power, doing what Iron Man does, and he loses the possessed powers. So he says if you want to pick powers, you lose the powers that you possess.
Yeah.
So then, he's losing his prob.
Yeah.
So that would hurt him a lot. Poor Iron Man. If you could nerf both of them,
close.
if you nerf both of them a bit, then Iron Man might actually
See some play.
Yeah, probably not.
No.
But anyway. Right, so that is we've sorted out the watch list for them. What are we going to do next?
Is that
our team builds. I think that's the end of the news for me.
Okay. Well, I picked the Miss America figure to build around. So if you don't mind, I'll jump in first.
Okay, we'll probably all have built the same team.
Well, I actually built two teams, and I'm undecided which one to tell you about. One's themed and one's not. I'll go with my themed one, I think. It's a no-brainer, really. I built around the Young Avengers keyword. I think in the last episode, I told everybody how much I love the Runaways from the new What If set, and so it's basically the Runaways with Miss America. So Miss America at 95 points, and then I've picked Gertrude Yorks and Old Lace at 50 points. Carolina Dean at 75, just as a flyer. I wanted someone to be able to carry people around, and I went for the Nico Minoru, the 75.1, because at first I thought I need some way of getting Miss America up there. I need someone with TK, so she can pick TK every other turn. So that was my initial build at 295, and then chucking a Spider-Man ID for Cosmic Spider-Man on there as well. Not playing any resource. This is just a fun build, not a competitive build at all. The other team I'd come up with was totally different, not themed at all. I may as well tell you what that one was as well. That was using Spider Knight from Superior Foes, because he gives adjacent friendly characters energy shield. I'd also, I'm trying to think now, I haven't got that one up on my screen. I'd also played Overdrive, 35 points, just for transporting people around, and the 50-point Lady Shiva from Joker's Wild, because she has a 12 attack, and she has the Batman enemy that Spider-Knight can copy and use her attack value and then get the +1 attack as well. And she also has Flurry, and she's quite deadly when she hits you with that Flurry. So that left me
who's got a better? You know who's 50 points and got a better Flurry than that?
Who?
2 of the Turtles.
Oh, but the Turtles, man, we've been here, we've discussed that. I will never put a turtle on my team.
To be fair, the Turtles also not going to give 13 attack to Spider Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're going to kill people without needing Spider Knight.
But Spider Knight's giving everybody an energy shield,
that's not going to work out well.
We'll
just run up there and stand there and then say, "Come on,
we'll see.
We'll see. I'm going to play this team, my team anyway."
I can. Well, I might play my team against you then.
Okay.
And then when you beat me and I refuse to upload it to the YouTube channel.
I haven't got turtles on the team, but
right.
I've got my first iteration did have turtles on. But
well, that leaves me with 10 points left over for a couple of ID cards. That was my team. So
can I just do my team then?
Do you next?
Go ahead.
My team was very similar to your Young Avengers team. I'd swapped one figure out though. So I had Miss America, Nico, Gertrude, and then I put Stature in instead at 80 points from the Civil War Organized Play set.
I forgot about those ones.
Because she is not bad for 80 points. She's got super strength, charge super strength. She can make a colossal, bump her damage up. So she could be hitting for 6 or 7 if we're using ultra. No, not ultra heavies because she's 80 points. So yeah, so you can hit for 6. Again, you've got the TK. You need TK with Miss America. I just can't see how you're gonna get her ability off without really TKing her.
Yeah.
Because she's just got that charge reach. Is not gonna last unless you're doing something funky. Because she's only got a 5 move for that charge. So obviously TK makes that into 13, that's going to do it. And you don't really need much move and attack from your other guys if you're going to be able to pull that off. But she does want to make close attack, yeah. So that's it really.
That's your 300 points.
It's 300 exactly.
So my team was Chris's team, to the exact, because you picked a figure that we basically almost always make theme teams, all of us do as an idea, and she only has one keyword that can make anything that has exactly 10 figures in it, and half of them suck.
And most of them have just come out as well, yeah.
So you definitely want Gertrude. I mean, with the new with the new rules, Gertrude is pretty much essential to get that leadership and the extra
Yeah.
action, because your TK and your charge will take up 2. So if you just got 1 action left, you want 2 actions left to get another attack in, really, don't you?
Yeah.
So you want leadership. I suppose Nico could pick leadership to give you that extra action. You could pick, say, TK leadership. But yeah, it's easier because you've got the attacker as well. I mean, my original team, I think, had turtles in, because I think something like 50-point Ralph and Mikey would make very good attackers as well for the flurry that you want to come in, because obviously Mikey putting the tokens on you and Ralph doing the penetrating damage. So I could swap out, say, on that team, Nico, Stature, put 2 turtles in and somebody else to do the TK. But I think just having the theme, you know, you're picking map, you're getting some rerolls from Young Avengers, probably works out better. But I'll try and sneak some turtles in whenever I can.
Well, I'm
my
going
other
to
idea was
I'm going to regret saying this, but I'll challenge you to a game on Monday, Chris. Using
play
that
the
team,
turtles?
using that team that you've just stated, and I'll use.
Which one? My first one?
Yes, well, whichever.
Can I play turtles? To beat you with turtles?
No, I refuse. No, because if you beat me with turtles, that's the worst thing that could ever happen.
No. So if you're challenging me, I'll swap that out and I'll play turtles.
Okay,
instead.
you play your turtles team, and we'll
Okay.
We'll film
I think
it
I had
and
Jean
we'll see.
Grey. I had a 50-point Jean Grey and 2 turtles.
Oh, you see, now you're
because that would
changing
come to
the, changing
155. No, because the free TK means you get another action then, don't you? Because you're not wasting 1 action to do the TK, so she's quite useful to make sure you can get your more attack stuff.
Okay, and I'll play my Spider Knight version.
Okay, you play Spider Knight version.
Okay.
So I'm playing Miss America, Jean Grey, 2 turtles.
Okay.
And I think I had like 5 points.
I'm regretting this already. Okay. Right, go on, Dale. Sorry, what were you saying? What was your other alternative?
The other one was to try and use a cosmic keyword, but I found this really hard. I was trying to get something like a champion pool.
Yeah.
You could have the space turtles then.
Because you can have the space turtles.
You're obsessed.
Well, only because you two don't like them.
Yeah, so basically using her to chuck up one of these cosmic people who was slow as all hell. It was that or the Brainiac skull ship with the tentacle dial, being able to just punch and then have the skull ship would just appear and be able to use his tentacle crazy attack. I thought was interesting, but it's just impossible to get her from A to B because there's no cheap cosmic characters. But there certainly isn't any with friggin' TK.
No, I know that's because I looked at the cosmic keyword at first, and I just kept like there was nobody with TK, and I kept looking, and the only one that seemed to like jump out the list to me, who is a figure I like playing, but he's so expensive, and that's the monthly OP Lobo. But he's 194 points. He's just far too expensive.
I don't think your technical attack works because that's a power action for the skull ship.
Well, there you go. So this is why I stopped because it just didn't work. I think it's awful. Awful.
Sorry.
Well, you can still. It's not so bad if she actually hits, but then you've got to like look at that's all my actions. I can't follow up to get the extra. That's a problem because you're spending all your actions on the TK and the charge, and then you've got 1 attack with Mistress Death, and then her ability kicks in. Everybody does double damage, but I've got nobody else to attack with.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm sitting there and waiting for what you do next turn.
Yeah, so nothing works. Miss America sucks. Maybe the ultimate. Maybe if they decide to do the Marvel Now version of Ultimates, where it's like the Ultimates are like Avengers in space, Ms. Marvel lead them kind of thing. That might be
interesting.
The time to make her use. But at the moment, she's just the Young Avengers, and that's literally. I'm sure she's part of the US Avengers as well.
Yeah, I think she is.
That's. But yeah, there you go. It's probably
So
kind of designed to print
into a
building
for next time.
See, I don't know. I was having a toy with it, and I couldn't find any single figure that jumped out at me as like, this is amazing. I want everyone to try this.
Well, neither did I. That's why I picked Miss America.
So I think I'm going to use my usual thing where I don't give you a specific figure, but more of an idea.
Come on. No, you have to pick a single figure. That's
one job, Dale. One job.
Yeah, one job. Just pick one
what
figure.
What happens when we pick one figure? We all build the same stinking team.
Because we all try to make theme. You've got to pick one. There's lots of keywords.
But then it's like, what's the point? You might as well just say pick a thing.
Pick a thing.
Well, pick a thing as long as it's an individual figure.
Yeah.
Oh, then if you're going to have to pick a single one, then I'm going to make you build the Saving the President Flashpoint version, who I've just realised has the actual Flashpoint keyword. I just desperately shouldn't have the Flashpoint keyword. Whatever. So the 60 point Elseworld uncommon Flash.
Uncommon one, right.
Who gets shot in the back.
Flashpoint. He's got scientist, look.
Ooh,
he does.
We like that keyword.
Speedster. Not that many speedsters.
Not all that many.
Scientist is like the easiest one, isn't it?
So the 60 point uncommon Flash from Elseworlds.
Yeah. And he doesn't have Flashpoint keyword. He wasn't part of the Flashpoint storyline. It was an Elseworld comic where he was the only superhero, which was happened to be called Flashpoint, but is like 20 years before the event Flashpoint that created the New 52. Don't understand it. There we go. There's my rant over.
Okay.
I'll stop crying about it. I think from here it's
going on to rules. Rules now.
Ah, yes.
Chris, you've got any rules for us?
Okay. Yes. This sort of stems from a game at Worlds, actually. It's relating to improved targeting when you ignore elevated. So I don't know if you'd seen it, Sean.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So just to briefly say, do I want to briefly say, or do I just want to give you some questions?
Are you referring to the match with the semi-final match?
Yes.
Yeah,
with
okay,
Easton Brock
with Easton
and Matty G.
Yeah.
Yes, so basically, I think the confusion stems from everybody who has a lot of people. Well, Nick Fury has ignore elevation for improved targeting, but he also has ignore characters.
Yeah.
So whenever anybody's shooting with ignore elevation, I think they come into their head, well, I ignore characters as well. Cosmic Spider-Man does not ignore characters, but ignores elevation and just about everything else. So, I'm just going to ask you some questions because I'm probably willing to explain because my brain's gone now and I can't explain things. Okay, so you're on two different. Right, all of these examples is going to be the attacker is on elevation 1 and the target's going to be in elevation 2.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have basically just 3 questions. The question is always going to be: is line of fire clear or blocked? Right.
Okay.
So is the line of fire clear or blocked if the blocking terrain is on the same elevation as on elevation 2, say in front of the target, or is it like the line of fire will cross the blocking terrain? So your attacker is on elevation 1, your defender is on elevation 2, and there's blocking terrain on elevation 2 in between you and the target, in between the attacker and the target.
Blocked.
Sean?
I'm going to say, just to make things interesting, not blocked.
It is blocked.
Ah, okay.
Right.
Still blocking terrain in the way.
Yeah.
Yes. So it doesn't matter if you... This is assuming that you have only got, by the way, improved targeting ignore elevation.
Okay.
You haven't got any other improved targeting because that confuses it.
Okay.
Yeah, so
right.
Just don't think about not Cosmic Spidey because Cosmic Spidey can shoot through.
All right. Okay.
Blocking as well. Yeah.
Punish his squad.
Yeah. So just anybody who's just got ignores elevation and nothing else. Okay. So the same question, but instead of blocking, there is another character a standard size character in between the target and the attacker.
On elevation 2.
On elevation 2, yes.
Not
Still
blocked.
blocked.
What did you say, Dale?
Blocked.
Blocked.
Yes.
Well, Sean knows this because it is not blocked.
How?
Because the line of fire, I'm not going to tell you why, because my third question it tells you the answer to my third question. Okay, you know that the next one is, what happens if that character is a giant instead of a standard size character?
It's still blocked. I don't see what.
I'm going to say
Do you
not
count as
blocked.
being on like elevation like 3 or something, as well as elevation 1 and 2, because that's how ignoring elevation works.
Just answer the question.
I'm
I'll
not
explain
sure
it
about this one.
afterwards.
I'm not sure about this one. I'm going to say not blocked.
You're going to say
Blocked.
not blocked.
Because I still don't
Dale's-
believe it's not blocked.
Okay, well, that is blocked, actually.
Okay.
Because
Right, so
they
there's-
inhabit higher elevations as
Because
well.
No, it's basically one word in the rule book that says a line of fire between characters or squares on different elevations is not affected by tiny or standard characters or hidden terrain except for the square the target occupies. So when you're drawing lines of fire between different elevations, you basically ignore any tiny or standard characters that are crossing your lines of fire.
That is misworded and not what it's meant to represent at all. That's such rubbish.
Yeah,
Well, that
pretty
is
bad.
the wording in the rule book. Well, it's basically,
aware.
that's the only ruling that says that when you're on higher elevation, yeah? Normally, if you don't have improved targeting, right, you're on the rim of elevation and you're shooting over the top of a tiny or standard character. That's the rules that
That's
say
what it's there
that you
for.
can ignore that.
See over.
But when you've got, like, improved targeting or elevation, you're basically, well, I don't care about these red lines on the map. So if you basically can either shoot, you're ignoring the tiny and standard characters again. That's basically what the rules say. You can say that that's rubbish, but you're not ignoring the great size. Equally, if there's a elevation 2, both your characters are on elevation 1, and you're shooting through the elevation 2, yeah, let's say you ignore elevation, and as a standard sized character on elevation 2, he doesn't get in the way at all. If suddenly you put a giant on elevation 2, even though both your target and the attacker is on elevation 1, but if the line passes through him, then the line is blocked.
Right.
So when you're drawing, all you need to look at is when you're drawing lines of fire between characters, you're looking at is there tiny or standard characters in the way?
Right. Okay.
Yeah, if there are, then you're ignoring them. If you're on different elevations. So Spider-Man, say Cosmic Spider-Man, in the example where Easton and Matty G was, Spider-Man was on elevation 1.
Mm-hmm.
He was trying to shoot the tank on elevation 2, but Jakeem was in the way, was in the line of fire. The judge, it was a big thing because the judge had actually called the game back because they were doing
'cause
active judging.
He called in Spider-Man
So
from an ID.
he'd basically
hadn't
he'd called him in from an ID, shot him, and then 2 minutes later the judge says, Cosmic Spider-Man doesn't ignore characters, does he? So he backed up the whole game to that call in, and then made him do it again, shooting somebody else. When actual fact, it was a legal
move, yeah.
legal attack.
That potentially swung the whole game as well, really, didn't it? Oh.
Well, it was pretty big. It's because, going back to tanks, it's basically the first thing you do is try and remove your opponent's tank.
Yeah.
However you can do it. The first chance you get, you try and take out your opponent's tank. Otherwise, it's going to get dropped on your head.
That was unfortunate. Yeah.
But it's just because there's not very often, it doesn't come up very often that people can ignore elevations and not characters. So if Cosmic Spider-Man was shooting the tank and they were both on the same elevation, he could not shoot through Jakeem. But because they're on different elevations, then he can.
I mean,
And it might not make logical
say it
sense
doesn't make any
because you're
logic, does
thinking,
it?
but for the game, you haven't got to think about that. You just got to think about what do the rules say.
Yeah.
The rules say that line of fire between characters on different elevations is not affected by tiny or standard characters. So it doesn't matter where they are.
Yeah.
Whether you're on the rim and you're shooting over the top of them, let's say, or you're not on the rim and you're going on the elevations. But if they're giant or they're colossal, then it is.
Yeah.
And it'll come up with something like Cosmic Spider-Man. It'll come up with Green Arrow as well, because he ignores characters. But anyway, he ignores elevations. There's another character that knows elevations. So it is a bit of a weird thing, because the game is not really designed to be three-dimensional. It's trying to turn a two-dimensional thing into 3 dimensions.
Yeah.
So it's always going to feel a bit weird when you're looking at elevations. And Dale's just got in the huff now because he doesn't agree with it.
It's basically they've added an element to the game.
This is not a new thing. This is the improved targeting. It makes it weird.
So they've added that without ever considering this being a thing, because what it should say is ignore characters that are tiny sized or standard sized on a lower elevation than the target. That's what it needs. It doesn't have, because it's never been an issue before, but it should be in there. But I'm done.
But anyway, yes, they may change that to the new rules. They may give us a bit more of a... They should do, really. A bit more of better explanations, I think, about different terrains and how that affects lines of fire. Especially with the improved targeting things. And I think it's just because of the 3D. They're trying to make it, it is 2-dimensional game.
Yeah.
And the different elevations try to make it 3-dimensional. So they have to have an easy sort of workaround, because normally in miniatures games, if it's a 3-dimensional game, a lot of games are just looking at, you get your eye down on the figure you're looking at and you draw a line of fire, and can I see that figure? So if you're trying to make it 2-dimensional, you've got to have a quick and simple way of being able to explain it.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's it for the rules.
Well, I think that might be it for the episode, if I'm not mistaken. Unless you've got anything else that you think we need to talk about.
I think that's it from me.
No, that's it for me.
Well, I'd just like to say thanks for listening. Don't forget, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter and YouTube. And until next time, bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.